I have spoken to one or two members of the Forbes global audience, someone who lives in Mexico. And when you talk about that legacy, this person said to me that Mexican citizens that she's around are feeling a great deal of uncertainty and are very worried. I think in part because of the large majority that Sheinbaum's party holds right now. But what have you been hearing? Are people concerned, and do these concerns resonate with you?
Well, it's a divided country. But I think what you do see in the election results is that there's a strong majority that likes the direction that Lopez Obrador has taken the country, for good or for ill. What is disconcerting, I think, to the minority of opposition supporters or of Lopez Obrador and Sheinbaum critics is that the political party of Lopez Obrador and Sheinbaum has grown so quickly that they argue that it's not leaving space for many other checks and balances for other political parties that might balance things out. I think it's going to be a really tough road ahead for critics of this government, this party, because unfortunately their political parties have lost a lot of credibility. They're almost going to start to have to build from the bottom up. I think connecting at the grassroots with those who've been disadvantaged by Lopez Obrador's policies. And it'll probably take a really long time. The critics, I think they have some real concerns, they have some valid concerns, but we have to recognize after this election, they are firmly in the minority.
Indeed, the numbers are strongly in Sheinbaum's favor. Now, we talked about the historic nature of the fact that she is a woman, but she is also the first Jewish person to be elected president of Mexico. This is a country that is, according to the most recent statistics on the matter, 78% Roman Catholic. Will, do you know, is she the first Jewish president of a majority Catholic country?
I think that she might be. You also have the case of Javier Milei in Argentina, who's converted to Judaism recently. As far as I'm aware, in terms of having a deep family history in that tradition, Sheinbaum would be the first in Latin America. Now, it is, I think, important to note that she considers herself secular. Her family were refugees from Eastern Europe, both for their religious identity and their political views. And she grew up in a secular household. So on the campaign trail, she's emphasized shared values among Mexicans, including that Catholic heritage. So it hasn't been, I would say, a major talking point or theme in the campaign here, except for a few very ugly attacks you saw, alleging that she was not Mexican enough by some of her critics.
So is there significance for the Jewish people of Mexico or even beyond in her election, do you think?
I'm sure there is. I think that it shows that in Latin America, writ large, we're seeing an increasingly diverse pool of people holding office. Keep in mind that it's extremely significant that Mexico just elected its first woman president, but this is following in the path of Brazil, of Chile, of Argentina, of Costa Rica. This is a world region that leads, for instance, the U.S. and parts of Europe by quite a bit when it comes to women's representation in politics. And also you're seeing increasingly indigenous people and indigenous political parties elected. A number of different groups that didn't traditionally tend to hold power have tended to see their representation expand because of democracy. So I think that that's one thing which we can point to as a real advance and as honestly a strong point for Latin America, even as we're all aware of the many other challenges this region faces, from slow economic growth to organized criminal violence.